The recent B patch changed the landscape of the meta after Noxus mostly dominated, and in this video I'm going to show you my updated tier list for the current meta, explain the best strategies to climb on this patch, and then take a look into each of the comps mentioned. Looking at the tier list, in S tier we have Ionia Xayah, which is the best and most consistent comp in the meta. It has one of the highest top 4 and win rates, even though it's heavily contested. Gunner Aphelios is the best AD option in the meta, but only if you get Piltover early. Without a large cash out, this comp loses some value and falls down to A or B tier. Cho'Gath Reroll is the best one-cost reroll comp in the meta, but it's incredibly conditional. You have to get a good opener, ideally Cho'Gath 2-star on 2-1, so you can start stacking him as soon as possible. Demacia Fiora struggles from behind, and it's necessary to hit Fiora 2-star on time and to have good items for her. The comp mostly shines in the meta since it has a great matchup into Ionia Xayah. Rogues are still strong even after some big buffs and nerfs in recent patches. This comp isn't really forceable anymore though, so you should only play it from good spots. Having good Ixtal is very important with this comp, as well as having good items. Sorcerers is a great option if you have a lot of AP items, but the comp doesn't really power spike until you get to level 8, which is the biggest drawback of this comp, so this is only a strong option if you are ahead. Noxus Reroll received some heavy nerfs in the recent B patch, but it's still playable on this patch from ahead. So as long as you don't force this comp, you're still able to get high placements and win games with it. Now let's move on to my strategies for climbing on this patch. In the recent patch, Riot nerfed a lot of the legend augments, to the point where Poro is overall the best legend, as you get more general augments offered this way. Overall, you can pick almost any legend, but I would avoid picking Tahm Kench, Asol, Draven, Veigar, and Vladimir. This is mostly because their augments are underperforming, but also because all of these legends lean you towards comps or playstyles that are also underperforming. For example, legendaries are weaker on this patch, and the meta is more focused around reroll and 4-cost carries. Therefore, Asol is a bad choice. And with Tahm Kench, you get a ton of gold, but picking Lee Sin is better when playing reroll comps, as you get way more power right away a lot of the time, instead of getting it slowly over time, which makes you bleed out faster. If we take a look at the best performing augments so far this patch, we can see that there is not a single hero augment on this tier list besides Tiny Titans. This is also why I'm currently choosing Poro as my legend of choice when playing games. As far as the meta goes, most comps have certain conditions that make them strong. Because of this, you should generally default towards the strongest comps when you have no direction. The first thing you should do is to identify if you have a good spot for Cho'Gath or Rogue reroll, depending on your opener, items, and 2-1 augment. Usually you will not, and if you do, they might also be contested, so you will mostly play towards a 4-cost carry instead. If you have AP items, you will play Sorcerers, or you will have to turn the AP components into mixed damage items or tank items, like turning Rods into Gunblade, Rageblade, and Crown Guard, or turning Tyr into Hodge, Redemption, Protector's Vow, or Adaptive Helm. You can still play Sorcerers though, but remember that you need to get to level 8 to succeed with the comp, so having a strong opener is a requirement to go down that route. If you have AD items, you will generally default towards Xayah or Fiora. You can also play Gunners, but without a Piltover opener, it's usually not the best unless you have a perfect opener with Jinx and Graves 2-star. Both Fiora and Xayah are viable routes, though with Xayah, you'd like to have a lot more gloves and bows. This is to get 100% crit chance on Xayah, and also to get RFC on Nilah. Let's look at each comp more in depth now. Ionia Xayah is the most common 4-cost carry comp, with Xayah and Nilah duo carry. If you reach level 8 or have +1 Ionia, you can still play this board with 6 Ionia and 4 Vanquishers. Nilah is incredibly strong with an Ionia spat, so try to angle for that if possible. You almost always want to roll at level 7 though with this comp, so you really shouldn't be playing for this board without Ionia +1, so play 4 Vanquishers with Juggernauts and Sejuani otherwise. The most important item in this comp is RFC on Nilah. Scoped weapons is a great substitute, but you should even try to get an RFC with scoped weapons if possible. No other item comes close to being as effective as Ionia's Bat and RFC, but Giant Slayer is the best item after that. Even going double RFC is better than building damage items in a lot of cases. Xayah's best crit items are Last Whisper, Guardbreaker, and Hodge, and you want to build 2 of these to get 100% crit chance. The third item should be a non-crit item, and the best one out of those is Giant Slayer, but Deathblade, Gunblade, and Brunance are also good options. Note that the only reason why Edge of Night is performing well is due to rogues being in the meta. So while it might be a good third item on this patch, it might not be great if the meta changes. Throw your tank items onto Shen, and note that if you're not building Last Whisper on Xayah, then build an Even Shroud onto Shen. The best way to play Gunners is to play it from a Piltover cash out and carry Aphelios and Jace, itemizing whoever you upgrade first, and eventually both of them. When you play this, you want to open for it until 3-5 at level 7, and then roll all your gold there to make sure you cash out within the next turns. You can also play this without Piltover, just drop Echo from this board and play flex frontline units. Jarvan is a placeholder for any frontliners like Nasus, Nautilus, Aatrox, or Shen. Drop Vi when you hit Scion, and Graves when you hit Gangplank. Jace and Aphelios have similar itemization, both like attack speed and AD items like Rageblade, Gnasher's Tooth, QSS, Last Whisper, Giant Slayer, IE, and Rudence. Bruiser Cho'Gath is a 1-cost reroll comp that changes depending on your opener and what units you hit. You always want to econ up until 3-1 and then hyper roll at level 4, usually until 30 gold, then slow roll level 5 until you hit. Your backline carry should either be Malzahar or Cassio depending on who you find more of on stage 2. If you hit Cho'Gath 3 and aren't close to 3-star Malz or Cassio, then you push levels for more Bruisers and play around Silco as your secondary carry. If you get an early Shurima spat, then you can put it on Cho'Gath and play vertical Shurima. Cho'Gath's best items are Redemption, Declaw, and Bramble. If you can get an Anima Visage or Radiant Declaw, your Cho'Gath often becomes unkillable. Put any tank items on Renekton if you 3-star him, otherwise put them on Sejuani. If you are ahead, consider going for Rek'Sai 3 and itemizing him to cap out. His best items are Titans, BT, Sterex, and Night Harvester. Demacia Fiora is another 4-cost comp. With this comp, you can't really play it from behind, as it's mostly a tempo top 4 comp that can win games if you hit Fiora, or more likely Quinn 3-star. You will usually do a fast 7 or 8, since we are not reliant on any legendaries with the comp, and you will roll for a 7 Demacia board a lot of the time. You can also stay level 7 here if you are ahead to roll for Quinn 3-star. You want Jarvan, Fiora, and Quinn to be the elites with Radiant items, and Fiora wants one healing item and a damage item which is Titans, Night Harvester, or Giant Slayer most of the time. Quinn wants 2 AD items that scale off raw stats, and Jarvan wants Protector's Vow, plus one more tank item. Rogues are the other strong reroll comp in the meta. The standard way to play this comp is to reroll for Graves 3-star at level 5, and then roll for Echo and Katarina 3-star at level 7. You will generally want to play this comp when the Ixtal is good. The best two are Wood and Ice. If the Ixtal is Fire or Electric, you should usually drop out for Ixtal and play something else like 3 Noxus. If you get a Slayer spat, put it on Katarina, and if you get a Rogue spat, play for a 3-item Rogue Mordekaiser at level 7. Next up is Sorcerers. This is a 3 and 4 cost carry comp, so you want to mainly roll level 8 if possible. Rolling at level 7 early stage 3 is a great option for this comp, as sometimes there's a lot of ways to spike your board during the mid game. If you hit a Sorc spat, you should usually put it on Shen, but it can also go on a multicaster if you are carrying Vel'Koz. All 3 carries generally use most of the same items well, so you should itemize your strongest carry first, which will be Vel'Koz 3-star, Silco, or Ahri, but usually it's going to be Silco. When rolling at level 8, you should hold as many Swains and Vel'Koz as possible, and make the decision of whether you're going to push for a fast 8, or roll for Swain 3 and Vel'Koz 3 once you stabilize. The main priority for this comp is to build Ionic Spark and a bunch of mana items to itemize multiple carries, with Blue Buff being the best, Adaptive Helm second, and Sojourn the worst. The best damage items are JG, Guardbreaker, Giant Slayer, and Deathcap. Noxus Reroll is a 1 and 2 cost reroll comp. First, you will slow roll at level 5 until you hit Samira 3-star, then you will push level 6 for 5 Noxus and Neferi, and slow roll until you have Swain and Neferi 3-star. After that, push for vertical Noxus to buff up Samira even further. Samira wants Blue Buff plus Edge of Night plus BT, or she wants Blue Buff, Gunblade, and Giant Slayer. Put your tank items on Swain, and the extra AD items you get on Neferi. You can also check out this guide in a written format over on Tactor, and if you want to see more of my written guides over there, then check out my profile to see more of the other content I've created on that platform. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want cheat sheets for any of my comp guides, they're available for you to members and patrons, and the links to join those are down in the description. And if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 9,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.